Hello folks, and welcome to another video by 1960s and 70s Chronicles of a Golden Era. Now this video, if you will notice my Donovan t-shirt, is going to be all about Donovan. Specifically, I'm going to ask for your top 10 Donovan tracks, and I will give you mine. Now, I am a Donovan fan of long time standing, so I can dip into album tracks as well as Donovan's well-known singles. And that's what my 10 is going to be made up of. So, first track of 10, no particular order, no particular preference. This is just how I read them out. It's There Is a Mountain, the 1967 single, which has the chorus, first there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is. Now, this is taken from Eastern philosophy, particularly the Buddhist religion, which basically says that life is all about overcoming problems. Life is not plain sailing, it's one problem after another after another. You conquer a mountain, you conquer a problem. Before you get a chance to feel good about yourself, you look to the distance and you can see there's another mountain ahead, another problem ahead. So it goes, so it goes. But it's an upbeat song, it's a joyous kind of a song which kind of celebrates the fact that life is a challenge rather than being, oh, life is misery. This is a case of, yeah, first there is a problem, then there is no problem, then there is another problem, and so it goes on. But it's to say that we have the ability, both individually and collectively, as a collective humanity, to overcome these problems for ourselves and for each other by helping each other. And that really is the kind of purpose of life. You know, it's there is a problem, then there is no problem, then there is a problem, then there is no problem. Keep going. You have the ability, and your purpose in life, your direction in life is to solve these problems. And of course, ultimately in Buddhism, you get to be released from the problems via nirvana and not returning to this material life of continual problems. But the task is to use your ability as an individual human being and as part of humanity to overcome those problems. And that's what the chorus means. First there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is. Keep going. You can do it. You have the ability. And it's upbeat and optimistic, in spite of what seems like a kind of gloomy message. It's not. It's actually celebrating the challenge of life and overcoming the challenges in life. So that's my first choice. The second choice is a song called The Mountain, distinct from There Is a Mountain. This is from the 1976 album Slow Down World, and it's actually written by a chap called Daryl Adams. Now, it's the same kind of theme. It actually uses the same language as There Is a Mountain in part of this song. It actually says, first there is a mountain, then it seems the mountain's gone, but then if you take another look, why, it's been there all along. It's the same theme. It's the same kind of Eastern mystical spiritual philosophy and ideas going on within this, which describes a meditative state where the person involved rises above the delusion of material existence and another Eastern religious philosophy sees existence, reality, as it really is, which is not material, but sees the material universe, the material world, as what could be a very beautiful place if we could only see it as something that we have to tend to care for while we're here. So that is The Mountain, a slow acoustic song that is more narrated than song, really, and again, spiritually inspiring. And for someone like myself, that makes it a great song. The next one is similar. It's Maya's Dance from the 1977 album called Donovan. Maya's dance is inspired by Hindu philosophical thinking, the idea of Maya, which says that the material universe, material existence, is a delusion. Our senses, our five senses, our empirical senses, invest that delusion and make it real to us, when in fact our task in life is to use our minds, our spirit, our soul, which is non-material and the only true reality, to overcome the delusion being compounded and insisted upon by our empirical senses, to overcome the information we get from those senses and to see the world as a non-material, perfect beauty. Maya's dance is all about that. It's all about being deluded by our empirical senses. It's a beautiful, soft acoustic song. Next one, Sunshine Superman. Single from 1966. It's classic Donovan, big hit around the world. And it's just a kind of bouncy, upbeat, acoustic song. It's a pop song, very good for a single, which it was, and it was a big hit. And I think everybody knows it, and that's my 1, 2, 3, fourth choice. Next one is a song from the album 1973's album Cosmic Wheels. The song is very deep, very moving. It's a song called I Like You. Now, my understanding is that this is a song to his wife and the depth of their relationship and their emotional attachment, even through very troubled times. And it's not I love you, I adore you, it's just I like you. That's kind of nice. Next track is going to be, now it's going to be Gurdy Man, famous single. Everybody knows this song. Famously, Jimmy Page played on this, but it's not the single version, it's not the album version, it's the live version, which can be difficult to track down. A particular live version, which I obtained many years ago from a cheap Donovan live album. It's all these budget priced albums. But the difference here is that it plays the song purely acoustic, no band backing, it's just Donovan on acoustic guitar. But within the song, he narrates the writing of the song, the story of the writing of the song, and tells how it was written while he was in India with the Beatles, one of the Beach Boys, I think it was Mike Love, and Mia Farrow, and how he wrote or began to write the song Gurdy Man during one of their evenings of rest in India. And that George Harrison contributed a verse, which he didn't record on these studio version, but he does play in this live version. So this sometimes hard to track down live version of Gurdy Man, which narrates the story and includes what he calls the long lost verse of George. It's all in this version of Gurdy Man, and it's beguiling listening, and it's one of my favorite Donovan tracks. The next one is a track from the 1974 album Seven Tees, and it's a track called Ride a Mile. I can relate to this as someone who has traveled here and there and is kind of still doing that, really. Trying to find some place of contentment, but in a good way, though, because, you know, it's so much out there and I'm kind of looking for it. And I keep going. And Ride a Mile is all about that, not being content just exactly where you are. Opening line, down the road from where I live, there's a road rolling by, wonder where it's going. And later, there's the line, sticking a thumb out in the air, catch a friend with wheels to spare. Now, of course, this is a reference to hitchhiking, and in my time, I've done my fair share of hitchhiking, and it's a great way to meet interesting people, interesting situations that you get into, and get around to see some very interesting places. In my case, probably the most memorable was a long hitchhiking trip with a friend of mine at the time, which took in lots of locations, but in particular Stonehenge, famous Stonehenge, and so it's a great kind of hitchhiking, moving around, trying to find out about what there is out there in the world. A song called Ride a Mile, 70s 1974 album. Next one is Catch the Wind. It's the song I think that really broke Donovan big. It's 1965. It was a single. The original single version is very kind of Dylan-y, kind of clunking. I don't mean that in a bad way, but kind of clunking acoustic strumming, very heavy kind of strumming sound. In a good way, though, and it's got a very Dylan-y sound to it. Donovan was, of course, very inspired by Dylan and Woody Guthrie. But there's another version which had to be made for contractual, copyrighty kind of reasons for a greatest hits album, which is a very slow, lots of lavish musical backing, and also a very lovely version. Which do I prefer? Don't know. Love the song though. Catch the Wind. Next one, the next two, in fact, are from the 1969 album Barabajagal, which was recorded with the Jeff Beck Group. Now, interesting. The first one is the famous single Atlantis, which I could do a whole video just on Atlantis because of the things that it unpacks, the stimulation to think of different kind of avenues and explore mythology and ancient history and see where they marry up and gets you into Plato because the legend of Atlantis kind of dates to Plato and it talks about the Great Flood, which is mentioned biblically, but also in many, many myths around the world. When I say myths, this is the whole thing, more like legends, because how come all these different legends of the same thing? And it kind of suggests an ancient civilization that was wiped out in a flood, the Great Flood, as it's mentioned in the track, and all of the great wisdom, the skills and genius, the thinking, the philosophers, the scientists, the physicians that we have in the world today, and that kind of thinking and that kind of developmental scientific and artistic thought is actually from the survivors of this lost kingdom. Now, there is a difference between myth and legend, but it kind of gets you thinking. It certainly got me thinking about I need to know more about this and do some cross-referencing and see where this takes me. And it took me to the geek you see before you know. It's part of the intense study that's been part of my life. You can partly blame Atlantis then, so there you go. And the other track is Barabajagal, the title track from the album, which is quite heavily backed by the Jeff Beck Group. So this is Donovan with a kind of heavy rock backing there, so it's out of the comfort zone. And it's got a kind of psychedelic lyric to it, and a bit different for Donovan, and of course the inclusion of the Jeff Beck Group and Jeff Beck himself makes it a really brilliant track. So there we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got your 10. Those are my 10. Some well-known singles, some album tracks, because I know my Donovan tracks. I know my Donovan music. Saw him live 3 times. Got this T-shirt the last time, 2017. It's 70th birthday special. Was it 2017? I think so. At the London Palladium. So big Donovan fan, know my stuff. But even if you're not a particular Donovan fan, there are enough known Donovan songs out there, at least from the singles, I think that everybody can have a go at choosing a top 10 favourite list for themselves. So I'm going to leave you with that, and in the meantime, say thank you very much for watching and listening and leaving comments on the YouTube video and on Facebook when I post it there. Pointy downy thing, I'm going to make that my saying, pointy downy thing. I'm going to make that my kind of, just my thing. The pointy downy thing means please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we're really doing well there. Things are really moving on. So thank you everybody who has subscribed. Thank you everybody who will subscribe, and I'm sure you will. And it's much appreciated. I will, for now, say take care, and I will see you next time.